Hello students, today I'm going to try and teach you a little bit about algebra, or at least today's lesson using the video. Today we're working with equations with fractions. I'll write that on the board. I want you to write that as well. There, I hope you can see that. It's not very clear, is it? I'll use this pen here. It's been 3 weeks since you just last worked with equations. And I'll just go over something simple, just as a reminder for you. I'll make a start with this one. 2x equals 6. You know the answer, but we want to follow the process. Remember the process. You have to learn to use the process, because down the track you're going to find there are some problems that you won't be able to do just by thinking about it or trying to compute it in your head. As well as that, I'm not going to give you marks unless there is working. Okay? So with this problem here, I'm not interested in what 2x equals, not at all. I'm interested in what x equals. So I need to get rid of this 2. This 2 we can get rid of. This is 2 times x. We use the inverse operation. So the inverse of times is multiply. You're right. So I'm going to write times 2 there, times 2 there. Okay. Sorry. The opposite of the inverse operation of multiply is divide. Let me get that right. Divide. So instead of the times, we're going to divide. So if I've got 2 divided by 2, it essentially disappears. It becomes 2 over 2, which you know is 1, and 1x is just x. So the number has disappeared. We're left with x equals, and we've got the 6 divided by 2 becomes 3. You know that one. And there's your answer. I know you knew what it was, but this is the process that we learned to go through. You remember that? Okay. Now, today's lesson is with fractions. We've done a little bit of work with that. All right? So if I give you the example of x on 3 equals 7, now there are still some of you that can do that in your head, which is fantastic. But let's follow the process, and the process spits out the answer at you. Okay? So divide by 3. This x over 3 looks like a fraction. X over 3 is really the same as x how many 3's, which we know is x divided by 3. Now divided by, we want to get rid of that 3. All right? Again, I just want x on this side. I don't want any numbers. I just want x on this side. So getting rid of the 3 is as simple as doing the inverse operation. Inverse of divide by 3 is multiply by 3. Got it right this time. Then we do the same to both sides. When we've got 3 divided by 3, or these cancel out, as we've expected, we're left with x on this side, and 7 times 3 is 21. You've got it. Right? So the simple answer to that one is x equals 21. Did I have to think about it? No. I did the simple maths up here, and it spat out the answer at me. Okay, is that easy? That's equations with fractions. That is the very simplest form. And we're going to do something that's a little bit harder than that in my next few examples. So let me rub that one out. By the way, you should write this down in your workbook. Let me get my textbook. My next equation will be, and this is from example 10. So let me put that up there. Example 10. Let me get a better pen too. Won't be long. All right, better pen. Let me put this one up. This is on B. We've done something similar to A out of your textbook, example 10. This one's B, and it's got 5y divided by 3 equals 10. Now, fraction, told you we're working with fractions. The hardest part of this is, which number are we going to get rid of first? And I taught you last term that we're really doing it in the opposite we're doing it in reverse. We're solving this in reverse. So I like to tell the story about y. What is happening to y here? Well, as you can see, the first thing that happens to y is we multiply it by 5. So we got 5y. Then we divide by 3 to give us the answer that's on this side. If we're going in reverse, what was the last thing I said? Oh, divide by 3, right? So it's this 3 then that we get rid of first. Okay, so to get rid of a divide by 3, or over 3, it still looks like a fraction, but divide by 3, you guessed it, we multiply by 3. And what we do to one side, we do to the other side, just to keep it balanced. So our intention was to get rid of this 3, and that's what happens. We end up with 5y equals 10 times 3 is 30. Very good. And now we're up to an equation here that you should be able to solve reasonably easy. Let's follow the process. This is 5 times y. 5y is 5 times y. To apply the inverse operation, divide by 5. Divide by 5, y equals 30 divided by 5 is 6. And there's our answer. Easy? Yeah, thought so. Let's have a look at our next example, which is example 10c. And I'll write it over here. 10c, 3x divided by 4 plus 7 equals 13. And by the way, you can find all of this on page 457. Page 457. Just if you're stuck. Solving this one. Again, now there are 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3 on this side. We don't want them. We just want the x. We want to get rid of all these numbers. But which one do we get rid of first? And it's really, really important. If you don't get rid of them in the right order, you get the wrong answer. Simple as that. 0 marks. Fail. Okay. So we want to get rid of one of these numbers. But again, let's follow the story. What happens to x? Here's the x here. What happens to it? Well, first it's multiplied by the 3. See that? Then we divide by 4. Then we add 7. The last thing that we said was add 7. So that's the one that we take care of first. So instead of adding 7, how do we get rid of it? You guessed it. Subtract 7. And what we do to one side, we do to the other side. Oops. I'm not going to put the equal sign in there because that doesn't make sense for us. We're just trying to do an inverse operation. So what are we left with on this side? Well, we've got rid of this 7. So all of the rest of this is still here. 3x divided by 4 equals, and 13 minus 7 is, come on, 6. Good. But we've still got 2 numbers over here. We need to get rid of them both. Which one's next? Well, I think you've got the idea. It'll be the 4. Only because what happens to the x? Well, we multiply by 3 first, then we divide by 4. The last thing we said is what we get rid of. Okay, so we divide by 4. Here, to get rid of the divide by 4, we do the inverse again. So that's times 4, and we end up with 3x equals, and 6 times 4 is 24. All right, there's only one more to get rid of. This is 3 times x. You know how it goes. Divide by 3, and we end up with x equals, and 24 divided by 3 is 8. And there's our answer. Isn't that easy? I think you've got it. Can I give you a harder one? You bet I can. All right, let's have a look at this one. This one is example 10D. And the example goes 2x minus 3 divided by 5 equals 3. Again, we've got 3 numbers, but it looks a bit different to this one. We've got 3 numbers to get rid of. Which one do we get rid of first? Well, let's look at the story for x. What happens to x? Well, we multiply x by 2, then we subtract 3, and then we divide by 5. What's the last thing I said? Divide by 5. Let's get rid of the 5, doing the inverse of divide by 5, which means multiply by 5. write it down. Times 5 times 5. On this side, we get rid of the 5. So what is left? Well, 2x minus 3 equals, and on this side of the equation, 3 times 5 is 15. Nice. Now we're reduced down to two numbers. Two numbers. Which one do we get rid of? Well, I think you can see it's the minus 3 over this side. So to get rid of minus 3 or negative 3, if we want to call it that, we can add 3. Do it to both sides. On this side then, we're left with 2x. On this side, we've got 15 plus 3 is 18. Nice. And now really quickly, 2x, to do the inverse, we divide by 2, we divide by 2, and we're left with x equals 18 divided by 2 is 9. And there's our answer. And something as complex as this, that you would have gone, oh no, I don't want to do that, right? We've just simply solved to get an answer of x equals 9. Easy. Full marks if you can write it out like this. If you've missed a step or two in your working out, then you don't get full marks. All right? Now you should be able to tackle the questions that are listed for you to do for the rest of this class. Have fun with that.